let's try it, right? So I was trying to use live captions because my accent is a bit strong and I cannot even pronounce the topic that I'm going to talk about, right? So I'm always talking about spatial computing. I cannot say spatial computing. But anyways, so as you can see, if it starts cursing or something like that, please tell me, right? So anyways, and also I speak too fast, so yeah. So yeah, I'm Cristian. I have been iOS developer for Science Flash Diet, right? So basically, I jumped in the boat, right? And I did the Xcode 4. I think I remember Interface Builder to be outside. But anyways, I have been working with AR for the last 3 years, something like that, camera systems and AR. Not by choice, right? So I got projects and I started, and basically, yeah, with all this happening, right? So I wanted to share some of the findings and things, and try to make this kind of interesting. So yeah, I'm kind of sharing right now, and I'm not seeing my presentation notes, which is like a super great. But anyways, so I can do it.
Did you press record?
Yes? Record, yeah. That's a good thing to remember. So, wait, 1 sec. Presentation notes first. Record, display 2. And that's it. Yeah, okay, so now the wow effect again. Yes, so Cristian, developer. I work in Monster Lab in the Berlin office. And that's it, no more than that. So yeah, last year's working on this. Basically, my personal journey started with a lot of preconceptions. I confronted AR with a lot of skeptical, right? I was like a really, okay, this is fine, but what is this about, right? It's like how many ways of placing a cube in a table can I imagine, right? It's like I could not really kind of find a use case for it. So this was my starting point, right? Like, okay, AR is something like you overlay virtual stuff, on physical stuff. There is no such thing as accessibility there, because also it's mainly visual and so on. And I could not imagine like use cases for it, right? Like, furniture, different type of furniture, more furniture, right? Okay. So with that, I started to research, right? Because if I had to do some project, I need some info. So I started to look for definitions of AR, typical Wikipedia, and it was a disaster, right? It was like a bunch of labels, but a bunch, right? So augmented reality, okay, I can get it. Virtual, okay, but then mixed reality was okay. How is different? And then by the time I get to extended reality, for me it was like a really confusing, like what is all about. But in this process of finding some definitions, there were some hints that helped me to understand things like you could include other senses, right? Other senses. Right? I'm not going to list them, right? So you are a good crowd. So and one of the definitions also kind of started to wake my interest, which is like AR is usually understood like something like you overlay on top of stuff, but can be also used for hiding stuff, for masking it, right? So this attitude of being able to construct or destruct, right? Or being additive and subtractive was okay, so that means maybe if the subtraction of information of the physical world by digital meanings is AR, that means maybe noise cancellation, for example, is augmented reality, right? So okay, so that kind of defeated my claim, that this visual. So I enjoyed that, but I still didn't find any use case for it, right? So it was okay, be my eyes, maybe this good idea, but I could not find. I should not have said that. I should say no idea. Anyway, so I follow up with the questions, right? So my claim was, as you remember, and I did my again, I tried to find a way to make AR accessible. I wanted to make an app, and how you make this available for screen readers and things like that, right? And I was really lucky to find this paper, right? This paper is on the machine learning blog of Apple, right? Cornell Institute, they made this beautiful recommended paper in 2020. Remember the date, right? It's important. And basically what they did is starting from, I think like starting from this claim, which is really similar to what I was thinking, right? Like basically it's a medium that is not really accessible, mainly visual, but they did better, right? They basically analyze all the apps of augmented reality in the App Store by that time on 2019. They classify it by axis, like a type of it, and then they look at for patterns of how the apps require some use. The claim is you need to know the pattern to create an accessible alternative, right? So you need to know if a scroll exists or pinch or a gesture exists, right? So they created, they found some patterns. They claimed to find some patterns, and they created these interactions, and some apps, some complete apps are available on YouTube. Hello. And the conclusion is like, yeah, they can make the apps to be completely usable, like by the blind universe they have in the study. And in fact, they were like they are really excited now of the opportunities of accessible augmented reality, in that time, right? There were things like how you place, how you manipulate, all those patterns could be represented, and some hints on shared experiences. So for me, this kind of like, it was like the epiphany moment, no? It's like, okay, so it's not only that you can make AR accessible, is that maybe the technology required to make AR can create an assistive technology, right? Maybe, right? So for me, it's kind of AR, understanding context, can bring information that can be by itself, by definition, assistive technology. So, but then, spatial computing, right? So WWDC, June, right, and drops this new concept, boom, right? And it's like, yeah, what I do now? No, I put this phrase here. No, it's like the doubt creeps in, right? So it's like now I'm really not familiar with this. I felt like when Swift arrived, and I was kind of like why, right? We had WDC, right? So I felt like, okay, what I do with this? Okay, so all over again, right? Where there are 38 or more sessions just on the topic. This is 13 hours, right? And this is scientific, right? It's Lord of the Rings, Director's Cut, the original trilogy is 11 hours, right? So if you watch all the Lord of the Rings, you're going to be short 2 hours, right? Respect of the content that you have to consume from June to now to understand spatial computing. Anyways, and it's really funny because it was an answer on Quora, and it says something like, and also don't ask me to do these numbers for the Hobbit films. No, my answer will be snarky and mean spirit. So don't ask for the Hobbit. But anyway, so a bunch, right? And the thing is like from that, right? I think it's not animated. From that bunch of material. There were definitely things interesting, right? Like, of course, right? It's really, really good, really well produced, right? It's a long time. You can tell they were working a lot on this, right? But for example, for me was especially interesting how Apple avoided to use MR, XR, VR, AR, right? It's kind of suddenly disappear. And we have a spatial computing and we have a spectrum of immersion, right? And it's fine, it's great, right? Because the spectrum of immersion, right, this kind of gradient way of going from AR to VR, right, is something like it works. So you can replace 3 terms, 3 labels by 1. And then spatial computing can be like extended reality and basically like the umbrella for everything that is related to the crossover, right, between physical and data. So yeah, I'm fine with this. And yeah, I mean, spectrum of immersion is great, digital crown is great, so I'm really fine. So yeah, but still I needed more info, so I went to Wikipedia, right? And I don't know why there is a battle about the spatial computing on Wikipedia. probably you don't care. But by the time I went, it was really good, but then it disappeared. So if you go to Wikipedia, I don't know what is going on, don't ask me. But what is still there, right, is this paper, right? And this thesis more. This is Simon Greenwald, his thesis on the MIT on 2000. I'm going to show it now. I forgot the date, it's so important. Anyways, it's about the definition of a spatial computing, right? And it's really, really, really interesting thesis, and kind of like a contradicted my feeling that spatial computing was a marketing word, right? I thought that spatial computing was something new and something made for not saying VR, but it doesn't look like that now when you start researching it, right? So for explaining the paper or kind of going there, I need to give more perspective on time. And this is from iPhone 1 on 2007, right? And basically, this is this timeline is focused on GPU graphic-related frameworks from Apple, and you can see between 2007 and 2011, basically we have the portable version of OpenGL. But by the time that 2012 and even better now, in 2014, we start having Metal, and then ARKit, right? 2017, Apple acquires a German team, right, which becomes now the ARKit team inside it. They make all this really great stuff. 2019, right, RealityKit. 2019 is when the accessible augmented reality paper is being conducted, right? And the results are delivered on 2020, and some of the new frameworks are related to the conclusions on those papers, in my opinion, right? Like the spatial computing attitude on face, or the attitude of how to create shared experiences with shared play, which everybody was wondering what is this for, right? By the time, in 2021, who uses shared play, except a long distance relationship? I don't know. Now it kind of makes sense, but anyways, also room plan is part of the of some conclusions of how you reconstruct, scene reconstruction and segmentation, how you recognize what is surrounding you, how you understand digitally your surroundings, et cetera, et cetera. And you know how is the story, right? So the paper of Simon is done on 2003, right? So this is even before the Intel transition, right? So to give some perspective, right? We were thinking on Power Mac G5, and I would love to have one, right? But at this point, Simon was talking on the MIT about all the patterns that you can see on Vision OS, right? And it's really interesting. I totally recommend you. So it made six projects, and he distributed the projects on how they interact with the space. It's really interesting how the intents and the idea of how the design should be in a spatial computing. So it's really researchy, right, and a bit artistic in the sense of deep, right? And there are things are especially interesting for me. There was this scanner of objects made on a fridge, which reminds me to now the app that is everybody using, from the iOS example, that is scanning objects and placing the French fontaine 20 times, right? So in 2003, we were talking about this. So yeah, pretty good. So I have to recognize that the spatial computing is not a made-up concept by Apple in June of 2023, right? So then I need a definition, right? Because the definition is something else, right? I have it around. So Simon says, spatial computing, probably you heard this, is on all. I think everybody kind of went to Wikipedia and took the first paragraph, put it on the article, and never read the thesis, right? If you ask me, right? So probably you heard about this, and I read it. And so spatial computing is human interaction with a machine in which the machine retains and manipulates reference to real objects and spaces. It's an essential component for making our machines fuller partners in our work and play, right? So that's what I mean by deep, right? It's there is a lot to render, but it's really interesting. The reference are to the we make computers for what? Right? So if we make computers to help us, how we make the computers more able to help us, right? And his answer is spatial computing, right? We make the computers being able to understand the context so they are able to help you more. Cool. But I cannot tell that to a client, right? It's like it's really kind of not catchy, maybe? I don't know. So basically, the more pragmatic term that we use for spatial computing is like it's a new practice, which has its root on computer science research field, but focus on human-computer interaction between objects and spaces, right? So taking or being surrounded and the interaction between them, your interaction and the interaction of the computer, right? So there are examples really good, which I'm not going to say. So, and this brings me to an evolution of the concept of like the AR augmented reality, right? So I needed something better. So right now I consider and I talk about this like a spatial computing is an API for accessibility. And let me explain why. From the 38 videos of spatial computing, 2 of them are spatial computing for accessibility and inclusion, right? 1 hour, which is good, really, really good videos, where basically, if you see them later, I'll give you the links, right? You get really fast the node, the memo, right? It's like everything is in there, right? So everything is ported and some extra stuff on top of it, right? Reimagine, right? And it's not like a afterthought, right? They included all the features on accessibility available on iPadOS, and it's in the Vision Pro, and it works. Impressive. So maybe Apple is saying like that the spatial computing can do things for people with disabilities, right? If there is so much effort. I don't know. It's a claim. So I don't know what to put here. So now you put USD set on Keynote, right? That's it. I needed that transition anyway. So now, for explaining why is this claim going on. So direct interaction model is when you touch what you want to interact with, right? Multi-touch. Indirect, you use a third party, like a distant device, right, to manipulate another point, right? Click, mouse, graphic, pen, etc. Vision Pro is by default, kind of we know at this point that it's mainly, or is kind of like a, by default, to say, an indirect interaction model. You gaze, you look at a distance, which hints what thing you want to interact with, and then you make some gestures, you pinch, normally, to create the reaction, right? The thing is, like on the pragmatic level, right, what is going on, or if you do an app, is basically this indirect model of interaction is mapped to the direct interaction model. So when you look and pinch, basically the app receives a tap, right? So basically, and also, on top of that, don't forget, you can walk and touch the window. It's going to react. So also the direct interaction model is activated. It's only like it's not meant to be used unless you want or you're close enough, right? And the thing, what is important on this is that this is exactly how most of the assistive technologies work. They map an indirect interaction to the direct interaction model. So you have a third-party device, a clicker, a custom rotor, right? Whatever you can program or whatever you need to use, a straw, whatever, and that is going to map to the event or gesture that is expected now from there. So it's kind of this communication. But in the case of Vision OS, this comes by default and activated, and it's like that. So it's think about it. Anyways, so many features, many. And in the real device, even more. It's like it's overwhelming. Subtlety everywhere, right? You can be in an environment, raining, you reduce motion, rain stops, right? You can have the dual control, which is basically when you cannot really create the gestures and it's always floating head anchored with you, like a really close and really available to interact with any of your volumes or windows, etc. I like completely well implemented. You can use keyboards or mouse or gamepads, right, or whatever, to control the camera level and the point on different environments and in general. So everything is connected, everything is possible to set up, right? There's a trend here, I'm gonna repeat it more and more, but there's a trend that with the Vision Pro, or at least on Vision OS, there is not any attempt at all to offer a single solution for all the problems. It's everything about options and configuration. Everything is options and configuration, and how you mix match is how you are supposed to use the device, right? Which is way different from the thought that you only have to look at pitch, right? You can use whatever you want, and it works. Guided access, right? When you have cognitive issues, imagine if I can create an environment on you that removes all possible distractions. And I can put you immersed, in a place where you can be simply focused, right? It's perfect because it can subtract reality. It can occlude the pass-through, darken it, and you are in the moon, right? Literally. Captioning, all the options are there, but it's not only they are there, right? It's like they went like a really there, right? With like how we do with captions when you are having this stereoscopic content, right? It's like I don't have sound, but I think, yeah, I don't have sound, but this is enough for you to understand. So, yeah, captions are anything. Anyways, so, do we have? There was a video or not? So anyways, so basically how it works, the captions on a stereoscopic video content is that it's always finding the negative parallax, so it avoids the conflict with the volume. So when you have something like this kind of going to you, the caption is positioned in the set index correct, so you never lose, or you can never get occluded. So that level of detail in the same format, the MBH back, right, is like attention to the detail, right? You can control the pointer with anything you want, motor impairments. This is a good one, right? Like you can make a pointer, and it's one of the experiments of Simon in 2003, right? You can control it with the head, meaning like you can anchor where you want the pointer to define the interaction point, and that's fine too. Like you don't need to look, you don't need eyes. Zoom is there, it works. I put it here because it's really strange, because strange in a good way. Basically, it only magnifies the virtual content. So you have like a magnifier in front of you, like the Mac, right? But when you look at something or somebody, sorry, and if there is some virtual object, with you, only the virtual object is going to be some. I think it's related to resolution, maybe this vector stuff, or something like that. But it works, and also you can zoom with the digital crown. So the amount of zoom is like, so it's really big. Yeah, I don't have sound, which is a shame, but I do have, right? I think I can make it, but if not, I explain it. But there are like also subtleties. Can I make it online, do you think? Yeah, so it was multi-output device, a smart mixer. Let's try. Okay.
In view, center, close by.
So yeah, never show a video without explaining before, right? So one of the things that are not obvious is also how voiceover is different on Vision OS, in the sense of now it's not enough to read in a screen, right? You need to kind of give hints on where are the things located. Right? If I'm in a sphere, right, where is the window or where is the volume, right? And how we do that, how we guide. And there is a feature that, yeah, does that.
In view, center, close by. In view. Center. In the distance. In view. Center. In the distance. Small. In view. Near right edge. In the distance. Partially obscured. Small. Out of view. Near right edge. Partially visible. Small. Out of view. Behind you. Out of view. Behind you. Out of view. Behind you. Out of view. Near left edge. In view. Near left edge. In the distance. Small. In view. Center.
Or there is, when you use VoiceOver, there is this option to offer actions on any focus element, right? Which usually is considered good practice because you make the friction and the amount of steps lower. So it's kind of a shortcut, right, to trigger in an action. And VisionOS by default comes full of actions. And this one, for example, which I find really interesting, is about being able to bring a window to my reach, to my arm reach, right?
Díaz at water currywurst. Cooking time 15 minutes.
By the way, this is a speed. This speed even I think is even slower than what the people use VoiceOver really use, right? Because yeah, at the end you are in a hurry, right? So the first one was a training. Okay, this one is more realistic.
Díaz at water currywurst. Cooking time 15 minutes. Estimated cost $14 for 2.
Okay, for the people asking why currywurst, yeah, it's like a. I'm from the Berlin office, and it's really difficult to make German jokes without being offensive. So currywurst, okay? So this.
Díaz at water currywurst. Cooking time 15 minutes. Estimated cost $14 for 2 persons. Diet. Speaking rate 60 words. Characters. Headings. Containers.
I'm using rotors there.
Preparation button. Hello words. Selected. Today. Tab. Close. Add resize bar. Add placement bar. Actions available. Close. Button. Add placement bar. Actions available. Speaking rate 65 words. Characters. Actions. Activate. Move to a direct interaction range. Move to direct touch range. Hello words. Activate. Default. Add placement bar. Move to a direct interaction range. Move to direct touch range. Activate. Default. Add placement bar. Close. Button. Pop-up button. Close.
And that's it. I mean, I didn't know what to put at the end. But yeah, one thing, like the, about use cases, right? I cannot finish without what are the use cases? And I have some use cases now, but that doesn't matter. What I have to tell you is do you know who is really excited about this device and who has a lot of use cases in his mind? People with disabilities, right? So this is why I think a spatial computing is an accessibility API, and it's going to be a device that is really, really, really put the game of accessibility in another level. So, robot.
If anyone has any questions,
Yes.
now's a good time.
Yes.
We have time.
Yes.
When you tried it, was it real?
Was it real? The what?
The device was working? You said sometime that
Yes.
it was working.
So, has anybody? I know that somebody from the public has been in a lab. Anybody else? Right? Yeah, Munich. Yeah. And that's what we can say. That's it. NDA. No. So I went to the Munich lab and the London lab. Right. I have been working on trying something that you cannot do on the simulator because ARKit. Right. And yeah, I mean, I cannot make reviews of it. I cannot say too much, but at the same time, I didn't sign an NDA. So yeah, you're recording. Can you stop? So the device is great. The device is great. And what I can tell you, maybe, I don't know, like yeah, maybe, okay. So the last time I went, the electrical socket was broken, and I didn't realize. The sessions are 7 hours long. So I was 6 hours intensively running the device until I realized I was not charging the battery. And when I told the engineer, oh, battery life is better than expected, he was like, really? So something going on there between, so accessibility works really well. You have, for example, the voice control, right? The continuous voice control, like a show numbers, 5, repeat, 5, activate. That works incredible because it creates a grid on you, right? So the thing is, like, again, if you have a device that is able to understand the context, it's really easy to imagine that this can become a bionic eye, right? And by extension, if you have this understanding of the environment, that means can really activate and interact and do things which are promising.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you to you. Anything else? Yes, please.
Maybe your slide a link for your thesis that
Yes.
2003.
Everything is here. Also, like the bad jokes are in the presenter notes. I didn't did the Borat once. I don't do it anymore. But yes, definitely. Please read it. It's like I think it's long, but it's really interesting how something you can imagine, and suddenly in your thesis, right, doing some playing with games, makes echo, like 20 years later, and you can see it, right? It's like why I didn't read this before, right? It was there, right? It was just like there. You see the timeline, you read the paper, it was there, right? So it's awesome.
Yeah, we'll put it on Slack, right?
Yes. Yeah. It's like, yes, I'm on a Slack already. Yeah.
We'll share a link to Slack at the end.
And if I forget, remind me. Or Twitter or anything. Yeah, please. Or Twitter. Twitter is not a thing anymore. Sorry. Anything else? So please catch me. Let's speak like this.
How easy or how fast did you figure out how to navigate, like when you put on the Vision Pros? How easy did you manage to use them and use all the?
Sorry for giving you the back. So there is this thing called affordance, right? That probably we talk a lot on. So I will give you also this link. I'm making kind of documentation of the words and things that we use for on this term, which are a lot. And affordance is kind of like the way that you design to kind of hint that there is an action, right, like available. The thing is, like, spatial computing promotes and Visionaries works on that line of thought that you should not need affordances. That you should use your natural intuition for working with your environment, and the computer should be able to understand your intentions on it. And that's all about the spatial computing. So I don't know if there are many UX or designers around, but it's going to be a lot of work for you, right? Because it's right now we're in Windows. This is kind of the traditional path. I always like to say that Windows are to spatial computing what skeuomorphism was for multitouch, right? Was kind of like the bridge to make it softer. But when we go for volume and full immersion, it's going to be another word, and it's all about your natural intuition, right? So that means like how hard you push a door to open, hard enough, right? And that's what the computer has to understand, right? So to answer that, nothing, because you have it there, you have it ingrained. So as soon as you go there, you know how to use it, and that's impressive.
Is it going to be then in games where you kind of have to guess what in the world you can interact with? Kind of poke around.
So, okay, so no, no. So I mean, on purpose, no, right? So Apple is kind of put in there like a not enterprise, no HoloLens, no gaming, no MetaQuest, right? It's like a normal use, right? It's like the same situation with iPhone, right? Remember BlackBerry or N26 and something or Nokia, the gamer, super phone, and then super enterprisey. Who wants an iPhone? Everybody, right? And this is exactly the same positioning. But saying that, so it's true that when you move, you go out of immersion, but it's not something sudden, right? It's not like you are out of it, right? And in general, I didn't say this. So the emotional connection that you get with the space and volume is really, really strong. Really strong. So when you invoke Siri, it's small and it's cute. You get attached to Siri. When you place a volume, it's impressive. And there was this app, the how it's called, mindfulness, so where you breathe, etc., which basically starts to kind of like a chant, a mantra, and entering you in the environment, and the flower starts to grow in the middle of your room, and suddenly everything goes dark, and you go inside you, and you are in the middle of a flower, and boom, and suddenly you are like it's a trance, right? You get in that state, right? It's really difficult. I was trying to be skeptical. I was trying to be like that guy. Like, this is not gonna work. But you cannot avoid connecting that. And again, another thing I cannot say, one of the engineers, accessibility team, was a health worker on a country, to not be so specific, and a country which is on war, and commented how useful has been this for trauma phobias and treatment of like a mental well-being. So this already happened. So maybe not gaming, but experiences, emotional experiences, definitely.
Can you say a few words about how this will code for this device?
Code?
Yeah.
No, Swift UI. It's just like that. Maybe we ran a workshop before. Maybe you want to say some words as a developer?
Yeah, basically you just so what we did today was we took an iOS app that Chris did as a demo and just changed.
Query Burst, sorry.
Yeah, Query Burst that we saw earlier, and you can just run it on Vision Pro. It's super easy. Just add a new destination, and by default it runs in the iPad.
Yeah.
Is it Catalyst on iPad? No,
Yeah, and the compatibility mode, right?
On iPad. And then if you actually add the Vision OS platform, like native support for that, then it starts doing some behind-the-scenes magic, like it changes some of the colors to match the experience of the platform. You get the glossy look of the backgrounds. Of course, if you use like what I call semantic colors, system colors, you use like dot background for the background color and not a specific shade of blue, like RGB. So it depends also how you program the initial app, but it's all very familiar. Like if you're an iOS developer and you know Swift UI, it's super familiar. Also with UIKit, I mean, you can easily port UIKit into Vision OS as well.
So my impression with this is that that Apple was trying in different platforms what they mix match everything on Vision OS, right? You have digital crown like Apple Watch, AirPods, and that goes to the home screen, which is this how it's called, the bee thing, the hive, right? So how it's called the home screen. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, something like that, okay? But then Windows behave like Mac, but they have the appearance of iPadOS, right? And the focus looks like tvOS, right? And also the parallax. So it's like, okay, they were like just doing the things in front of us with, okay, in retrospective, it makes sense. But for programming, basically, I think kind of the hardest part is like if you are not using a scenes, right? And window entries, and controlling that may prove challenging, right? You need to adopt that. Go and work with a scene, so that means like forget about app delegate. You need to go Swift UI, right? And then this is about Windows. Windows are really easy to adopt, right? So from iOS to Vision OS native, it's 5 minutes, right? It's target, run, and if the framework is supported, you are there. There are 3 documents which are really good to evaluate if your app can be ported, right? Remind me that, and I put it on a Slack, or anybody, I mean, just you. Yes, which are really helpful for knowing which is possible or not. But yeah, so remind me about RealityKit after this. So, but the thing is, like, what the engineers on the labs communicated to us, I don't know if you agree, is that we should feel feedbacks, like all the time, right? It's like but in the sense of like they say something like we cannot give something and then take it back. So what we do is we don't give anything, and we wait for feedback. and see what the people really wants to do with the platform, and then we consider, depending on the feedback, what we open. So it's really crucial. Even if it's a suggestion on the feedback, it's not a radar anymore. It's a feedback, right? Like can be really light. Go if it's limits to you. So thanks, RealityKit. So that's for Windows. Many limits. The document. Now the thing is, when you start with volumetric, that's when it becomes not familiar, right? Because it's RealityKit. And RealityKit is ECS. So if you know ECS architecture pattern from gaming, etc., you're gonna be at home. If not, it becomes like a super weird because it's not inheritance, but it's composition, but it's not declarative. So it feels strange at the beginning, but you have a game engine at your disposal, right? So that means you do BS stack, reality view, open brackets, and boom, and you have like a canvas. So model 3D is to volumes what image, async image. Somebody's going to talk about async image to views, to image. And then reality view is like a canvas, right? So reality view is to RealityKit what canvas is to core graphics. So you open a hole in your fabric, and then you can work directly on RealityKit, which opens you all the ARKit stuff and many. So pretty set up. Windows are going to be up and running if your app doesn't have any special requirement right now. And probably in the future, in 1-2 years, when we start doing really the immersive volumetric spatial computing stuff, it's going to become more complicated. Yeah, I think that's the last one.
I just have a small question.
Yeah.
How is it?
I talk a lot, sorry.
Thanks, by the way. How is it to develop on the simulator? So obviously, none of us have the actual device.
Yeah. So the thing is, it's great, but also a nightmare, right? There is no more Reality Composer in the new Xcodes, right? Xcode official doesn't have Vision OS. Vision OS beta 8 with Vision OS beta 3 on blah, 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 blah. Doesn't run the latest beta, which was released last night, right? So it's tiresome, but the thing is, I have to say that they know that we are not going to have the device. So they put a lot of effort on the simulator and have improved it a lot. So for example, one of the things that the simulator has, which none of the previous simulator has, is VoiceOver. You can run VoiceOver inside the simulator, and it works pretty well. On iOS, you need to use the Mac VoiceOver, right, or use a real device, because accessibility inspector is so-so and doesn't simulate. So how is it? Great. What I recommend you to get this. It's really, really difficult to navigate with the trackpad or the mouse, because it's really difficult to represent. In the device, it feels natural, right? Everything works on the reach of your arm, right? So everything kind of moves in this sphere. So it makes sense that the window kind of do this when you push it, but the simulator doesn't, right? So if you are doing demos and you want to navigate, get one of these and be happy. I mean, it's like there you go, beta 1. I mean, I think it's the first time I have so many betas at home. So this is the simulator. It's completely inaccessible for the Mac VoiceOver too, right? Because it's a rendered scene. I think I have this connected. Wait for it. It's gonna be a success. Live demos, it's always work, right? I can't believe it. I was already solving it. And look at this. I have already the accessibility pointer control from a wrist, right? Which kind of helps to know where you're looking at. There you go. It's like a Call of Duty. So I think it's great, the simulator. It's not a real device, but it's much better than any simulator we had before.
So what is that device?
It's any gamepad, even the PlayStation are going to work. Any Bluetooth. Yeah. Also get these things. Play with buttons and motor impairments is really important to use.
What about the device itself? How heavy it is? Like how long can you continuously have it on and don't feel like
Yeah.
nausea or
Yeah. I cannot say it, but I'm gonna do it anyway because
Got it after the recording.
I really, really, really want you to be inspired by this, right? Because it's not the dystopian thing that we are talking about, right? It's technology, right? And it's a really, really piece of hardware with bunch of different areas, computer vision and things like impressive. So how is it, how heavy it is? So it really depends on you. I went with a colleague. The colleague felt like it was heavy for him. For me, it was fine. 6 hours I was using it, and we were instructed to not use the device if we have any motion sickness, right? So at the minor sign, you have to stop. In 2 labs, I never seen anybody claiming motion sickness.
You had it 6 hours in a row? Like
I was
not even. Okay.
you don't. So that's a good one, right? You don't need to remove it. You have pass through.
Yeah.
Right, so you are not like doing this for talking with somebody. You kind of talk, and how it looks from outside is it looks menacing. No, it looks dumb, maybe, but the thing, it looks like a tool. It looks like you are working. It looks like a maybe sky goggles, right? So maybe for 5 minutes interaction, I'm fine talking with you. I only need a hint that you are paying attention, which is what is this about. But aside that, you don't need to remove it. No, everything is there, right? So it's heavy. Yeah, not crazy heavy. You can use it 6 hours and be fine. Some people got marks here, but aside aesthetics.
Bit related with this, how is for people sportive glasses?
Well, when you go there, you have to bring your prescription, which, funny enough, was a new feature on HealthKit 1 year before the release of it, right? So you put, like, no coincidence, right? So you go with your prescription, and they have a mystery box that nobody has seen, which has exactly your prescription, and that gets magnetically attached to your device. So
And replace for other person use.
you can remove it. It's magnet, right? And you can recalibrate. I'm saying a bit too much, but basically the consensus is this is the first time I can see without glasses. Fair enough. Fair enough. At least not mounted. Yeah. Fair enough.
Right? Did you get a chance to scan your own face and see how your face look or others look on the outside?
No, it's not available. Also, I could not test the Mac monitor because we could not enter the iCloud ID. Privacy issues, right? So that's related. So digital persona, I don't have experience. I know that now is some placeholder for digital personas in the latest beta, so it's something we can talk about, but I didn't explore it. It was released last night. Yeah, cool. Thank you.